welcome back to the Gist with Dami, and today we'll be talking exclusively on breastfeeding. We'll be talking about the types of breastfeeding, we'll be talking about the advantages, the benefits, both for the mother and for the child, and then basically, some of the long-term goals of breastfeeding. I hope you learn it too in this video. So welcome back again. In this video, we'll be talking about breastfeeding. So what is breastfeeding? Breastfeeding is a way of feeding your child or your infant via your breast, right? So the breast is actually created not just for sense of satisfaction in terms of sexual satisfaction, but it's also meant for feeding the baby, the newborn. So when a child is giving birth to, the first milk that is being produced is what we call the colostrum. And this is basically very important because it is produced in the first few days of life, and it is very, very important for the brain maturity of this child. This is why it is very important to put your baby to breast as soon as possible. Now, let me quickly talk about different types of breastfeeding, okay? So for most people, when they come to the hospital and then we ask them, oh, are you breastfeeding your child? Oh, yes. Are you exclusively breastfeeding your child? Most people will also say yes. But I stand to correct you on that because most people do not even understand what exclusive breastfeeding is all about. And I'll be breaking it down in this video. So what is exclusive breastfeeding? Exclusive breastfeeding is breastfeeding your child, your infant, exclusively, meaning that the only thing you're giving that child is breast milk for the first 6 months of life. Yes, let me recap. Breastfeeding only for the first 6 months of life. No water, no food, no formula, just your breast. Yes. So that is why I said that most people do not understand that term. So I just want you to understand this term. Now, what most people do that they do not know is that they mix feed their baby. So what is mixed feeding? What mixed feeding simply means is that you're giving your child breast milk, but at the same time, you're also giving your child formula. Now, do you understand now? Now, other school of thought believe that how can a child just be on breasts? That child will not grow. That child cannot be okay. The child will be thirsty. The child needs water. I want to debunk that again. Yes, your breast milk has both water and the nutrients, which is the milk. Now, when you first express your breast milk, the first thing that comes down is what we call the fourth milk. I know this, I practicalized this and I saw it and wow, this is true. Because I use a breast pump, and using a breast pump, when you first start, you see that what comes out is kind of liquidy, very watery. Then after that, you start seeing something that is more thicker, right? So this is called the fourth milk. And basically what it's meant to do is to ensure that this child is satisfied from the thirst. Okay, then the next milk that comes after is what we call the hind milk, and this is where the nutrients mostly is. And that is why we recommend that you breastfeed your child for at least 30 minutes. My baby is crying.
A few moments later.
If you breastfeed your baby just for like 10 minutes, you notice that in the next how many minutes this child is already asking you for breast again. It is because the child just got that for thirst, not really the child got it for food. And that is why it is important that you breastfeed for 20 to 30 minutes on each breast, and you should alternate the breast, okay? So don't just make it just one breast, because what happens is that when you don't use the other one, eventually it could cause what we call mastitis, or one of them getting bigger and then painful and all that. So that I'll be talking about when I'm talking about the disadvantages of breastfeeding. Yeah. Now, another thing that you need to know is what we call the complementary feeding. So the complementary feeding is what happens when your child is now 6 months. Now you start introducing some other food to this child aside breast milk, because by this age we believe that your breast milk is no longer sufficient to help this child in every necessary ways. And we also believe that the gut of this child is now developed enough for food. Now let me jump right into the advantages of breastfeeding. Now, these advantages is just not just for the mother, but for the child, for the father, and for the environment. So let me first talk about the environment. One of the advantages of breastfeeding for the environment is that it reduces cans, litters, environmental pollution. You'll not be seeing NAN somewhere and all those other things. So that is one of the advantages of it. It helps to keep our environment clean and neat. Now, for the fathers, one of the advantages is that it is economical. You don't have to be asking every time, oh, I want to buy baby food, I want to buy baby food. So it is economical. Another thing that breastfeeding does for the father, that helps the father, is that it causes what we call lactational amenorrhea in the mother. So what this means is that if you exclusively breastfeed your child very well for the first 6 months of life, it is believed that your menses is not going to resume back. Okay, so of course it means that you and the father, you can be more intimate, right? So am I speaking your mind, man? Now, for the mother, the advantages of breastfeeding, wow, it is a lot. One of the key things on my list is that it helps prevent what we call postpartum depression, that is after delivery depression. So when you breastfeed your child, you have a sense of fulfillment, you have a sense of accomplishment of that. This is motherhood. Okay, so that helps. Another thing is that it facilitates bond between you and your baby. So this goes both ways. Okay, both for the child and for the mother, it facilitates bond. Another thing is that it's more like a fulfillment for you as a mother, the joy of motherhood. Oh, I'm breastfeeding my child. You understand what I mean? Another very, very important thing is that it helps you go back to your pre-pregnancy weight. This is a video on its own, and I'll be doing a video on that. So after watching this video, I would like you to like, subscribe, comment. Then I'll be uploading that video just after this one. Okay, so just stick in. The advantage of breastfeeding your child is that it helps your uterus to go back to normal. We all know that after delivery, they tend to be like your tummy, getting a little bit bigger than usual. It's because your uterus is yet to go back. So with breastfeeding, there's an hormone that is being secreted. So this hormone will facilitate your uterus going back to the way it used to be. Another phenomenon was that lactational amenorrhea, and yes, it actually works. That is, you will not see your menses in like the first 6 months of life after delivery, and of course that means that you don't have to be on contraception. But it is also important, if your menses comes back, that you should be on contraceptive. That is also going to be another video. If you want me to shoot that video, I want you to comment down below. Now, some of the still on the mother, another thing is that it helps prevent risk of breast cancer. It is believed that women that breastfeed their children more, they are at risk. They are not at risk of breast cancer, and also it prevents them from having ovarian cancer. Now, for the child, some of the advantages of breastfeeding for the infants is that, one, it helps to prevent them from childhood obesity. So when you compare a baby that is being breastfed with a child that is being fed with formula, you see that sometimes the one that is being fed with formula seems so big, like very, very big. However, not as strong as the one that is on exclusive breastfeeding. So these are some of the advantages. It makes your child very strong physically, intellectually. I remembered a day I went for immunization. My baby is not like a very big baby, but then the nurse was like, wow, this child is so strong. And I'm like, of course. In my mind, I'm like, do you know what this child is doing to me? Of course he has to be strong. So yes, it helps to make your child strong. Another thing that breastfeeding does is that it helps the gut of this child to be healthy. So it prevents them from falling sick often, having respiratory tract infection, and what have you. Another thing that I personally notice is that the poo of my child does not smell as if the whole house is going to, explode very soon. That is one of those things that happen when you breastfeed your child too, compared to when you use formula. Of course, I am a medical doctor, so yes, I'm going to advocate for exclusive breastfeeding. However, practically speaking now, the truth is that it could be very demanding. It is something that if you are not committed to it, you might not really understand. And to be factual, I do not really understand the intensity of this breastfeeding until when I had my baby. Yes, it is very easy to preach it, but then when you have to do it, that is breastfeeding on demand. I already established the fact that exclusive breastfeeding is breastfeeding on demand. So immediately your baby just say, it's breast, except if maybe diaper change or change in environment. So that could be a lot on the mother. Now, this leads me to the disadvantages of breastfeeding. When you breastfeed your child, you as the mother, you feel it. Let's be factual. You would lose weight. Okay? Weight loss could be something that is good for some people and might not be too good for other people. Another thing is that you'll be sleep deprived most of the time because it is very demanding. In fact, you will need help sometimes. And that is why I also express, so that other people can also feed him sometimes, so that it's not overwhelming, especially when he was still very young. First 1 to 3 months of life, I had to express because it was a lot. Another thing is that if the mother is not feeding well, it could tell on the mother, a lot. And of course, the thing about breastfeeding also is that you might not be able to wear exactly the dresses you want to wear sometimes. Imagine you wearing a very big long gown and then you have to breastfeed, you have to be removing all the clothes, So all these things could be some of the disadvantages. And of course, for some mothers, they see it as a kind of stigmatization, people looking at them, this one is breastfeeding and all those kind of thing. And yes, another thing is that, of course, when your child is breastfeeding, your nipple can have, the child can bite you on your nipple, all those kind of things can happen. You might feel pain and whatnot. But at the end of the day, for me, I feel that the advantages are much more than the disadvantages. So this is a video to encourage mothers out there that exclusive breastfeeding still remains the best and the safest for your child. Now, if there is any reason for you not to do this exclusive breastfeeding, be it job, maybe your career is demanding, you do not really have the time to go through with it, I recommend that at least for the first 6 to 8 weeks of life, exclusively breastfeed this child. And then if you now want to now switch to the mixed feeding, another way of going about it is getting a breast pump and then stirring your breast milk so that your child can be able to have this breast milk even when you are not around. And as many times as possible, even though we don't really encourage mixed feeding, but of course we have to be realistic that it is not going to be all mothers that will be able to go through it. So as much as possible, ensure that your child gets a lot of breast milk. Breastfeeding is a very important thing, and it is a topic that cannot be exhausted in one sitting. It is a topic that cannot be exhausted in one sitting. That's just the truth. If you want me to still do some subs on this topic, kindly drop it in the comment section. For example, some of the myths about breastfeeding or some of the things that people give their child, so like some of the wrong practices. Okay, if you want me to discuss about that and more, kindly drop it in the comment section. Okay, I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed, hello, and you're getting all this information and this content, what are you waiting for? Join this family. Subscribe, like, share, and of course, I'll see you in my next. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has been supporting this channel one way or the other. We are over 100 subscribers now, over 1 month. I know and I believe that with your help, I can get to the next 100, right? So I want you to share this video, I want you to like it, and I want to see you in my next. Thank you so much. I still remain the gist with Dami.